So today we're looking at multi-step equations, kind of similar to what we've been doing. We're just throwing in a couple extra steps. First multi-step equation we're given is 8x minus 3x minus 10 equals 20. Now the good thing about multi-step equations is there's often more than one way to do it. You just have to make sure that every step you take is a legal step. Okay, then you're not doing something you're not allowed to do. Okay, so what might be a good first step for solving this equation? Cameron? Add like terms. When we combine the x's, what do we get? 5x. That's a minus 3x. We got 5x minus 10 equals 20. So we've combined like terms. Now this should look exactly like the problems that we did yesterday, only with different numbers. Right? Ryan?
Now we add 10 to 20.
Well, we're going to add 10 to both sides, right?
Yes.
Because that's going to get rid of the 10 on the left, and it's going to bring the right up to 30. So whenever we do something like that, we have to do it to both sides to keep our equation balanced. Which is probably what you're going to do, but we're just going to say it out loud anyways. What's our last step? Renia? Divide by 5. I lied. That's not our last step. What do we get? We get x equals 6. What's our actual last step? Check. Now, when you're checking, plug it into the very first equation you're given. Plug it in up here. Okay? That way you know that every step you did was correct. If you plug it into one of the other ones, one of the other steps, then all you know is that that step was correct. Okay? So we're going to do 8 times 6 minus 3 times 6 minus 10, and we're wondering if that equals 20. What's 8 times 6? 48. What's 3 times 6?
18.
So we've got 48 minus 18 minus 10. What does that equal? 48 minus 18 is 30, and 30 minus 10 is 20. Yes. So x equals 6 is the correct answer. Everybody good so far? Let's look at a different type of multi-step equation. We have 7x plus 2 times the sum of x and 6 equals 39. So that x plus 6 is in parentheses. What would be a good first step for this one? I'm sorry? I don't want to subtract the 6 because it's inside the parenthesis there. So believe it or not, that's not actually a 6. Yeah?
We would do what's inside the parentheses first.
Okay, what's x plus 6?
X plus 6 is 6x.
Nope, that's x times 6. Yeah.
So 7x.
Nope. They're not like terms, so I can't add them. Yana?
Maybe we need to multiply 6 and things that are in parentheses, like 6x plus 36.
Okay, we do have to multiply them. There's a property that we use here to multiply that too by the x and by the 6. Yeah, that's the distributive property. Okay, x plus 6 is not 6x. It's not 7x because the 6 doesn't have an x. They're not like terms. You can't combine them. So you see when we distribute, we actually have a 12 there, not a 6. That's why we don't want to subtract 6 from both sides. Now, what should we do? Add the like terms? We did that first last time. Let's try a different first step this time. I can subtract the 12 from both sides first. Now, the only reason I'm doing that first is to show that there's another way to do things. But if there was another term on that side without an x, I would want to combine those first to save myself a step, so I don't have to do that step more than once. So now I've got 7x plus 2x equals, what's 39 minus 12? 27. What might be my next step now? Combine like terms, and what do we get? 9x. And that equals 27. So we divide by 9, and what do we think x would be? What's our last step? Check. Plug it back in. 7 times 3 plus 2 times 3 plus 6. Does that equal 39? Now in this case, you can do what's in the parentheses first because you can actually add 3 and 6. So does 7 times 3 plus 2 times 9 equal 39? What's 7 times 3? What's 2 times 9? Does that equal 39? Yes. So x equals 3 is the correct answer. Any questions yet? So the next question is a little different. I've seen questions like this on the Regents exam. Instead of solving the equation yourself, they're going to ask you to look at the steps that somebody else took with a blank in there and determine what the missing step is. Which equation could be step 2 in the solution process? So if you started with step 1, if you started with 5x minus 4 times x minus 3 equals 17, what might you do first? Emily? The distributive property. So if we did the distributive property, what's negative 4 times x minus 3? Negative 4x. And then negative 4 times negative 3 is? Negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12. So that should equal 17. So which of those choices is correct? D. Okay. D is the correct next step. And so the step after that, they combined their like terms, and then they subtracted 12 from both sides. Now I want you to look at the other answers that they give you. The other answers that they give you are possible mistakes that you can make when you're doing this. Okay? For instance, for choice A, they did negative 4 times x and got negative 4x. But then they did negative 4 times negative 3 and they put negative 12. But when we multiply a negative by a negative, we get a positive. So that's why A isn't correct. Okay? What did they do wrong in B? Caleb? They didn't multiply the negative 4 by the negative 3. They did the negative 4 times the x, but then they didn't do negative 4 times the minus 3. Okay? That's a common mistake. That's why they put those answers in there. For C, they multiplied the negative 4 by the x, and they used the negative to cancel out the negative, but they didn't multiply the 4 by the 3, so they got positive 3. Okay, so the actual solution is choice D, but they're going to leave those close solutions, those simple mistakes in there, just to make sure that you're really paying attention. Are there any questions? Okay.